Hey, it's good to see you again, my friend. I'm so happy that we're together again, and, well, I hope you're ready to do a painting because I am. And I've got my paper turned horizontal. I've got a very strong drawing. I always recommend that you do a strong drawing before you begin all your pieces. And while I'm getting started here, all the names of the colors are going to be going across the screen for you so you know exactly what I'm using. Because, you want to know what I'm using just in case you want to follow along. And if you just want to sit back, relax, grab yourself something cool to drink and take it all in, that's cool too. That's cool too. In fact, I recommend it. Go ahead and relax and grab yourself your paintbrushes, your paper, all your tools and all that stuff. And then go to town. Go to town and get to work. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get out my natural hair brush. I like to mix with my natural hair brush because this natural hair round brush that I use, it's so nice for mixing the colors. I'm going to go right into my phthalo blue and my quinacridone magenta, right? And I want a little bit more quinacridone magenta this time around because I want a sky that's a little bit more magenta-like, Sometimes you want skies that are a little bit more blue. Sometimes you want skies that have a little bit more red in them. Sometimes you just want, sometimes you want a really blue, like an ultramarine blue. It all depends what you're really looking for. But skies are all different kinds of colors. All different kinds of colors. But I like to use non-granulating colors when I paint my skies. And what I mean when I say granulating, granulating refers to whether or not a color has, well, texture. Because you know how texture is. It's a fickle thing. A very fickle thing. And what we're looking for when we talk about granulation is we're looking for a color where we see the particles of the paint show through in the paper. Now you see that a lot with ultramarine, but you don't see it so much with phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is not a very textural color. It's very smooth looking. It looks very flat compared to ultramarine a lot of the time, but that doesn't make it a bad color. That just means that it's one of those things that it just does. And sometimes you want that. Now, granulating colors are real nice for making little textures on all kinds of things like, colors that, let's go ahead and paint that in, and then we'll get to some of this and this. We're not going to have a lot of sky showing today, so we can take a lot of liberties with the way the sky is going to look. Okay? Now this sky, again, it's going to look real magenta-like. I got a lot of quinacridone magenta in this color. So we're going to go to town on this one. We are going to go to town, okay? Yeah, there it goes. And then we're going to do this one. Now, when you're painting like this, you want to try to avoid all the trees. You can use something called masking fluid if you want to try and keep all the trees clean. You gotta use the masking fluid sometimes to help these trees get their act together because they're a rascally bunch, these trees. But you know what? I'm not going to do that today. I don't really use masking fluid ever, honestly. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my toilet paper, and this is just cheap toilet paper. This is the stuff you find at the store where I get this at Home Depot, actually. You can go to a hardware store. This is stuff they put in the office to tell you they don't like you. It's the passive-aggressive way of telling you. That's what I like to say. Okay, let's go ahead now and maybe, I know I don't. I like to think a lot about what I'm going to do next. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, say, this tree right here, I think. And we're going to paint it with a very, very light color, all right? We're going to paint it with a little bit of... Actually, I'm going to go into my triad mix right here. On my palette, I've got a triad mix that I never really clean up. And what this mix is, what a triad mix is, a triad is 3 colors all together. It's 3 colors. And what it does is it helps you mix things more efficiently, right? And I'm just going to get a color that's a little bit more violet. I'm going to have something that has a lot of this violet color on it, but I'm going to mix it with my nickel lasso yellow, my quinacridone magenta, and my ultramarine blue. And I'm going straight into this well here. Let me see if I can show this to you. I'm going into this well here that I have that has both quinacridone magenta and ultramarine in it. And I have colors in wells like that together to make it a little easier to mix paint in a hurry, in a flash. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my flat brush. I like to use my flat brushes. These are made with synthetic hairs instead of natural hairs, so they don't hold as much water. But what I like to do is I like to just go up and down and wet the paper a lot of the time, and then I go with my round brush and put the color down, okay? Now look at this, look at that, look at that, okay? So here's what we do, Go just like this, and we just hammer this color in. Because there's kind of a two-tone approach that we take to painting big masses like this. We lay down the flat color, right? And then we put in the details. Now, this is a lot more intense than I really intended it to be, okay? That's a little bit more intense than I really want it to be. So what I can do is I can go in with just a little bit of this, my teepee, and I can just take a little bit off there and there. And now the color is very light. So now we can add a little bit more detail to that later if we really feel like it. If we feel like it. I don't know if I feel like it yet, so I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. And what we can do now, I'm seeing some things here. What I want to do, I want to go into some phthalo green and pyrrole orange. And I want to get a little bit more of the pyrrole orange to the phthalo green on this, okay? Okay. And we're looking for a color that's a little, when you add the phthalo green to the pyrrole orange like this, it makes the color a little bit more yellowish. All right. Okay, so here's what we can do. I'm going to make sure my brush is all clean here. And make sure it's all clean, okay? And then we're going to go up in here. And maybe we'll just look for some spots in here, okay? And we'll pay attention to where the water's going, all right? So the water's down in here, all right? So this is going to be real simple to figure out. This should be pretty easy, actually. All right, so we find the spot where all the water's going, right? And the water is kind of going all the way up into there, all right? And then we'll just there. And maybe over in here. And now we'll just keep going up into these little spaces like this. Okay. Imagine that the water is kind of just going in here. Yep. There. And that's really all we got to do for this one. That's all we got to do, I think. Well, we can add a couple more little flourishes in here, maybe, just to get that down. And you want to be real quick about this because pyrrole, it dries fast. It dries super fast. And it stains heavily. Now, I don't know if you know what staining means. Maybe this is your first time watching. But staining, when we talk about staining when we're painting with watercolors, it means that it stains the paper quite literally, right? Quite literally. And what happens when it stains the paper like that, here's what I can do. I can go ahead like this. And as long as we don't wait too long, we might be able to wet the paper a little bit. We might be able to wet the paper a little bit and lift a little extra here. My paper's kind of falling off my easel here, my French easel. I keep telling you guys, I told you before at home there, that this is a madman's way of painting. This is not a way that you really want to paint. No, you want to do something a little less crazy. You want to go ahead and try to paint something with a flatter surface than this, because this is an absolute madman's way of painting. The only reason I paint like this, the only reason at all, is so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Just a little bit better. All right. So let's take our other round brush. I've got two round brushes. One is a big round and the other's a small round, all right? And what I'm going to do with my other round here is I'm going to go in with a little bit of this Nicolazo yellow and this phthalo mix, and I'm going to find a bunch of areas over here and kind of just drop a bunch of stuff in like that, okay? All right. And maybe we'll go up in here like this. Now the point of all this is to hammer all this in, and you might want to keep a piece of your paper nearby just in case you want to lift a few things. And don't wait too long. Don't wait too long, or else it's going to get a little too hairy and you're not going to be able to remove anything. And that can be a problem. That can be a problem. That can be a problem, especially if it dries too dark. Now, the reason that I apply colors so, I don't know, haphazardly, I guess is the way to put it. The reason I do it like that is so that I make sure that I don't apply colors too lightly, because a lot of times I do that. I think that's a habit that a lot of watercolors fall into, right? Okay, well, we've got a few things back there. We want to get all these background bits before we get these trees in the foreground here. All right, and here's what I can do with my, while I'm waiting here, let me go ahead and get a little bit of blue. I'm going to get some, actually, since this is water, I'm going to take a little bit of phthalo and quinacridone magenta and mix up kind of a middle blue color here. And I'm holding a bunch of brushes at one time, which always bodes well for the painting, you know. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, just take it easy while you're painting these things. Don't stress yourself out too much. If you freak out too much about what's going to happen, you'll never take any chances. And taking chances was one of those great things about art. Don't be afraid to fail. Believe me, I've done my share of failing. I fail all the time. I fail just about every day still. That's part of art, really. All right, now. Okay, so we got this. Now look how intense it is. That's kind of the middle blue color that I was looking for. And I want this to kind of, the way to simulate waves like this is just wiggle your brush back and forth like this. Okay? That's what you do. That's what you do. All right, so I go over in here, and then maybe I go over here. Okay? There. And now we've got a bunch of blue colors in there. Isn't that cool? Okay. We've already got a lot of water painted. We're going to paint one more color on top of all this, right? At least one more color. Okay. And there it goes. There it goes. See, now when I leave that color behind, it's already pretty intense. Because phthalo blue and quinacridone magenta are both staining colors. They both stain the paper really, really well. And that way, when I lift the color, not too much comes off. All right, let's go ahead now, and I'm going to get a little bit of a darker color here with my phthalo green and my Nicolazo yellow. I'm just going to add more phthalo green to this, and. Tell you what we're going to do, we're going to go right up in here, and we'll pick out some spots like this, and like that. That's the way we do it. That's the way we do it. Now there's going to be some more little bits and pieces over in here, right? In fact, let me go ahead and just kind of scrub a lot of things in like this. Okay. There it goes. Now don't pussyfoot around with this. You want to go ahead and just hammer them in. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just imagine that there's a big mass of leaves in there. All right, just a big old mass. A big mass. Okay. I'll go over here and get a few of these. Just like that. Just like that. Okay. Now, what we can do, we'll go in with our paper towel again, our trusty, well, paper towel, toilet paper, whatever you want. If you're using paper towel, it's all good. Paper towel tends to have a little bit more texture, though. Toilet paper is a little smoother. All right, good. Now, the thing about this is, it looks very light right now, but we're going to go in with our sponges in a little bit, because we use sponge to paint foliage like this, right? It's a lot easier. It really is. It's so much easier. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to take, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of phthalo green here and quinacridone magenta, and I'm gonna mix up a dark murky green here. Yeah, that's the ticket. Okay. All right. So, Another thing you want to pay attention to is how absorbent your paper is. And the paper that I use is very absorbent. So whenever I lift the paint, now if I just leave the water on there, it's going to be pretty wet. But since I lift the paint so much, everything tends to dry pretty quickly. It really does. All right, so you got to be very careful with a mix like this, because this is both. Gotta watch out for drips like that. Oh, one of the trials and tribulations of this style of painting. This is why I say painting with your paper completely upright like this is a madman's way of painting. No one sane should paint like this, by the way. I know I keep saying it. Okay. Now what we want to do. Let me see if I can, come on, get off of there. There. That roll was being pretty stubborn for a second. Okay. Let's lift a little bit more of that. There it goes. All right. So we've already got that area lifted a little bit. Okay. Now we'll go into this other section right here. And we'll say a few prayers and hope that doesn't drip. Okay. You gotta love a painting method that involves prayer. It's very effective. Well, what can I say? Works for me. If it doesn't work for you, I don't know. Maybe there's something weighing down on you. I kid, my friend. I kid. Okay. Let's go ahead here and let's see. How's my how are all my colors doing here? My brushes. Okay, this brush needs a little bit. Ooh, we need a little bit of nickel azo yellow with our. Need a little bit of nickel azo yellow with the paint there, and we'll go right down in here. Okay, and we'll go in here too. Remember, you always want to do the lightest colors first, right? So go in, hit those light colors. It's real hard to do all the dark colors in watercolor first, so you gotta go ahead and hit those light colors. It's one of the, well, to my knowledge, I think it's the only medium that you need to do that in. I might be wrong though. I suppose you could do it in gouache, but in gouache it's so opaque that you can pretty much do anything in gouache, I think. Although in gouache I think it is typically better to go light to dark even on that. Still though, there's a lot more room for forgiveness in gouache, I think. I just painted for gouache for the first time pretty recently, and it was a lot of fun. I really recommend it. At least try it. It's one of those mediums that, it's a real sleeper medium. It's not a medium that a lot of people use, but I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and I think if you try it, you'll have a lot of fun with it too. Okay. All right. There we go. Let's just get a little bit. And we'll clean this off. There it goes. Okay. Now let's take, I know what I want to do. I want to get a little bit more of the nickel azo yellow on here. And get this. There. And this is going to go all the way to about right here, I think. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. And I'll take another piece of my TP. All right. Now, when we finally do the second layer, we don't have to lift like this quite so much, thank goodness. But when we're getting going, when we're getting into it, it really helps to have this on hand. Okay, let's go ahead and just. I know it really helps to make those sounds if you're going in and painting like this. It really helps. And it's okay if people look at you funny, because you're an artist, right? Of course you're an artist. And you know what? Artists are expected to be a little strange. So go ahead and make some funny noises. Really helps the ambiance and makes people think that you're brilliant, even if you're a complete hack. And believe you me, I've done some hacky stuff in my life. If you're real skeptical, you might even be saying I'm doing it right now. I kid, my friends. I kid. I love having fun. And believe you me, we have fun here. Don't let anybody tell you different. And hopefully you're having fun too. I hope you're having a lot of fun with this. I just come here and I enjoy painting pictures with you. And maybe you paint the pictures with me, maybe you don't. Maybe you just like to relax and listen and watch. Whatever the case, I'm just happy to be here with you. Okay, and we've got a lot of stuff going on here. This is actually a pretty complex painting, to be honest. This is a painting that's got a lot going on, and it can really, really trip you up if you get overwhelmed. Now, I don't think I get overwhelmed by this. I think I kind of know what I'm doing. Yeah, I know, kind of. It's real inspiring, right? Oh, I kid. Yeah, I kind of know what I'm doing. More or less, give or take. You know, all that good stuff. Okay, we'll just go ahead and leave a little bit there. And things are already pretty light there, but I'm going to lift it anyway just because it gives it a nice continuity with the rest of the picture. Oops, it's already fallen. I gotta love it when that happens. It's one of those things on the bingo card here. Now, I don't know how long you've been with me and how long you've been watching the ASMR painting series, but we got ourselves a little bit of a bingo card on this show. And I don't mean that it's a literal bingo card or anything with all kinds of things where we look for stuff and cry out bingo. This is just a mental bingo card. It's in your head. And you keeping an eye out for all the stuff that I do every episode. There's a certain checklist of things that have to happen every episode, that inevitably happen. And one of them is that the paper falls off the easel, which is always a gas. Let me tell you. I almost did that. Almost did it again. Not this time. I got my eye on you. And I ain't gonna let that happen again. No, sir. All right. Now, what we're looking for here is a little bit more of I'm looking for more of an ultramarine type of color. Yeah, I want something a little grayer for this color. Something a little violet, but a lot more ultramarine to it. Okay. I think I got it. Let's go in right here. Take the flat brush. Wipe some water across this. There it goes. Okay. And now we'll scrub this color in. Now, part of the secret of a lot of these paintings is going in and using the same color twice to increase the value. We lay down a foundation wash, right? And what a wash is just laying down the basis for what we're doing. These are all washes that we're putting down. Believe it or not, they're all washes. Each and every one of these pretty much is a wash, okay? So we go in, we paint all these light colors first, right? We paint them in. That's all we do. And we keep it light. And that's like the number one rule of watercolor painting here is we just keep it light. Keep it light. Okay? That's really the name of the game here. Now, what comes next, after we lay down all these colors and, we lift them and, we got all this business done where we're lifting, we're going to lay them down again. And that's part of the secret of this technique. That really is part of the secret. We go in after we've already laid them down, and then we lay them down again. And believe it or not, that's the major bit of it. We just lay them down twice. And after laying them down twice, we've got ourselves a painting. Now the thing of it is you don't want to lay them down exactly the same way twice. You want to pay attention to where the light and the shadow is. And where the light and the shadow is, and the light and the shadow can be very sneaky. So pay special attention to your paintings. Pay attention to where the sun is shining. Like if the sun is shining from this way, or maybe the sun is shining from right smack in the middle here, I'm going to pretend that's happening. That's a real fun situation, right? Like that. Because then the light is hitting over here on this side, and the light's hitting over here on this side, and then you got shadow in different areas on either side of the painting. So it makes it a lot more interesting, actually. Okay, sometimes your water is going to get a little colored by different pigments. I got kind of a blue color going on here, but that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. I'm going in with my triad mix right now. Ultramarine, quinacridone magenta, and nickel azo yellow. Notice how I only use a few colors. I don't use a lot of colors because it makes it a lot easier to make those big decisions in a hurry. Now, if you're working on a big old painting at home and you got lots of time, you can use all kinds of colors. All the colors of the rainbow. All the colors that they make in art. But right here, right now, I got to make those big decisions real fast, don't I? Yep, sure do. Okay, I'm going to hold on to the paper now. I recommend you hold on to the paper too if you're painting. If you decide you want to try the madman's way of painting a paint like this. Again, I don't recommend it, but I can't stop you. I can't stop you. Okay. Ooh, let's go. Let me get a little small area here. This is just a little nitpicky thing. I'm nitpicking a little bit, but there. Okay. And then we'll go and get that a little more intense, and then we'll get this a little bit more intense up here. And this is what I'm talking about the whole glazing and layers thing. You go in, and maybe you leave some areas a little underfinished, but then you go back in and make the color a little bit more intense, and then slowly, your painting begins to take shape, and it's oh so beautiful after you've done it. Now look at that. Doesn't that already look a lot like water? I think it already looks a lot like water, and I absolutely love it. I love it. Okay, we need to take care of these trees here, don't we? Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. Let me go ahead with a little bit of. I know what I want to do here. Let's get some quinacridone magenta and nickel azo yellow on this, okay? And I want to make an orange from that. Now, it should be about even amounts of quinacridone magenta and nickel azo yellow. All right. So now, I'll take my flat brush, and just to make this go a little easier, I'm going to go all the way down there. Okay, I'm going to follow the length of these trees, just like this, and wet them, okay? Get them wet. And this make the water go on, the paint go on a little easier. Okay? Just like that. Here we go. Okay? Alright. And what do you think? Should I do anything with those? Should I do anything? I don't know. Here, let's go ahead and take off a little bit of the edges right there. There that goes. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice color. I don't even know that I want to do anything to that. I think I'm going to keep that just the way it is. All right. Yeah, that's one of those rare instances where I look at that and say, that looks pretty good. Not bad. I don't want to fiddle with it. I don't want to follow it up. Okay, let's add a little bit of our quinacridone magenta to our phthalo green now, because we're going to go into the water at this point, okay? We're going to go into the water. And I want to get my flat brush for this one, but we do want to use a healthy amount of the quinacridone magenta and the phthalo green, all right? Come on. There it goes. Okay. Okay, that's about good. Let's go ahead, rinse off the brush, make sure it's all clean. You don't want to be painting with a dirty brush. Sometimes it happens, but ultimately, you really don't want it to happen that much. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start right about up here, and then we're going to go, you know what? We're going to do this. We're just going to wiggle it back and forth. Okay? And we're going to pick out lots and lots of spots like this. Okay? That's really all we're doing. And maybe. There it goes. Yep, that's all we gotta do. Maybe we'll go down here, pick out a couple of things. Maybe we'll add a little bit of the phthalo to that and, you know, spruce it up. And maybe, yeah, just a little something like that. A little something. That's good. That's good. And now, what we want to do. Ooh, I know what I'm going to do. But first, let's go ahead and mix up a little bit of our. Let me make sure that I got the color that I need here from this ultramarine color. All right. I think I got the color that I need. I got the color that I need right there. Okay. So let's just go ahead, go into our gray color. We're going to go into our triad mix, the second triad mix that we made, because we made a couple of different ones, right? We made one that looked a little bit more ultramarine, and then we made one that looked a little bit more magenta-like. I'm going to go into the one that looks a little bit more ultramarine or grayish. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to splay my bristles out like this. And this is how we get some nice texture on things, right? For instance, let me see if I can splay them out and then bring this down. Okay, let's go. There. And this is a pretty effective way to create rocks and stuff, right? It's a pretty effective way to go about it. And okay, then maybe we'll go in here, just like that. That's really about all you got to do. That's about all you got to do there. Okay, so we'll leave it like that. Now, I'm going to take my sponge, and I'm going to get my big old brush, and I'm going to mix up a lot of quinacridone magenta here with my phthalo green, a lot of it. And I want this sponge here to do a lot of this work. I'm going to get one sponge for that. Okay, and then I'm going to get another sponge. I'm going to get another sponge for all this Nicolazzo yellow and phthalo green business. And we're going to look for something a little bit more yellow-ish at first for the lighter stuff. But then we'll go ahead and get something a little bit more middle green for the darker stuff. Okay, there's my second piece of sponge. Okay, we got two pieces of sponge here. Now, yeah, what I'm using is a natural sponge, right? I'm using a natural sponge. It's tore up into a couple of different little bits here. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Okay, so the sun is kind of coming up from overhead. We're just going to tap that in like that. All right? Now, just kind of imagine where the separation is. Find all these little bits here, these bits and pieces, and kind of just hammer them in. Don't worry too much about it. Just hammer them in. Try to imagine what the separation looks like. And you know where the shadow is, right? You know where the shadow is. Let the sponge do the work. All you got to do is imagine where all the various little pieces are and put those in, just like that. That's really all there is to it. Okay? We'll go like that. And then we'll go over here and do these. And it's the same kind of deal. Okay? Just go in and hammer that color in. And eventually, you'll have something that you can work with. All right. So now we're going to do the same thing with this other section here. We're going to do the exact same thing. All right. There it goes. Now find all the little bits and pieces that you got to use to make this happen. And imagine what it looks like. Imagine what all these trees and spaces look like. Don't be afraid to let a few things shine through. Don't cover everything. Okay? Sometimes you might be tempted to cover everything, but don't cover everything. Let a few things shine through. Okay? There. Now maybe we'll go in here and get a few of these. Okay. And we'll go in here and do these two. There it goes. There. See, look at that. Look at that. You see how easy that can be? It doesn't have to be hard at all. It doesn't have to be hard at all. In fact, if you don't like what you're doing, you can tear off a completely new piece. You can tear off a completely new piece of sponge and go in. And you know what? Let's mix up a little bit more color here because we need a little bit more. We need just a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, okay, that's good enough. That's good enough. Now dip your sponge into that color. There. And look at all that. Now wasn't that easy? Yeah, that was pretty easy. That was, not gonna lie, that was a piece of cake. So now here comes the big part. Here comes the big part. Let's rinse our sponge off. Make sure it's all clean. What you do is you dip it in one well. I've got a bucket with 3 wells here. Dip it in one well, squeeze it out. Dip it in another well, squeeze it out, and put it between 2 pieces of toilet paper like this. And squeeze it. And when you pull it out, it should be all dry, clean enough. I stress that, clean enough. Clean enough. And ready to go. Okay. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit, excuse me, a little bit more phthalo green to this. There it goes. There it goes. Just a little bit more on that. That's better. Okay. All right, all right. So here we're going to start with this. Okay. All right, all right. And we'll just hammer it in. It's the same concept, really, as all this other stuff that we've been doing, right? It's pretty much the same exact concept. You just pick a spot, a couple of spots even, just hammer it in. Yeah, imagine all these little separations, like maybe it gets darker in there, maybe it's a little lighter over here, and yeah, this is kind of a, maybe we got a couple of things going down in here, maybe one over right there. Yeah, that's looking cool. That's looking real cool. Go down over here. And okay, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! We've already got a lot of this completed. Now, what we might want to do, there might even be 3. There might be 3 layers. Who knows? There might be 3 layers to this. So let's get a little bit more of the quinacridone magenta, a little bit more of that phthalo green. Okay. Since we're using pretty much, the same mix and all that, we don't have to go ahead and do anything real fancy. We just go ahead and get a little bit more. Get a little bit more. Okay? Just like this. Alright, just like this. Alright. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now what we do is we take our flat brush and we're gonna get that bad boy ready because we're about to do something. We're about to go on a little adventure here, and we're gonna go over to this part of the painting. All right. And what we need. Ooh, I already demonstrated what we needed earlier. We need to get this color ready. And this is going to be that color that I showed you. That's a little bit more quinacridone magenta. It's got some ultramarine in it, but it's got a lot of Nicolazo yellow in it too. So it's going to have a lot of that. It's going to have a lot of that color with the quinacridone magenta and the ultramarine. All right, all right. So now that we got it, let's split our brush apart, and we'll go in here. And what we might want to do, is keep we might want to keep our paper towel on hand. Make it a little easier to go in and do this kind of stuff. Okay. So now we're just creating a little bit of separation here and there. Getting things taken care of over in here. And I'm splaying the bristles like this. I'm splaying the bristles to try and create this texture in here. Okay. And maybe right about here, there's a little bit of that texture, just like that. And maybe right about here. Imagine that we got ourselves some rocks, right? And maybe we got ourselves some rocks and stuff. Maybe right about in here we'll... some rocks, little pieces of foliage and all that business, all that good stuff. Okay. There. Our number one goal right now is just to create a little bit of separation. A little bit of separation between the ground there and the trees. Okay, so a lot of this color is still the same on this side too, so we can go ahead and just splay the bristles out like this. Alright. Alright, there's that. And we'll go over to the other side, just like this. And look at that, we've already got some bark going. And if we want, we can continue it over this way. Okay. And we'll go there, right there, maybe right here. And just continue a few things. Give it a few more marks like that. To really create all that separation like that. Okay. There. Now, I don't know if I recommend doing an outline all the time like that, but sometimes it really helps. Sometimes it really helps to do that. Here. We don't have to fool around with too much longer with this, so let's go ahead with our other hand. Splay these bristles out, and then mark this side of these trees. Mark the shadow side with that bark, right? Don't get too overzealous and don't cover the whole tree. Just cover the shadow side, all right? Now this can be easier said than done, depending on how much dexterity you have. Well, you don't have to paint this with your left arm like I am. I'm just doing this because it's a little easier for me. Here. Might want to create a little bit more separation up in here. There. There that goes. Just cover up those stumps a little bit. You know, the bottom of the tree. Alright. Now here's where we go in. And, ooh, I might want to get this with my left hand again. I thought maybe I'd be able to get with my right, but I don't know about that one. I don't know about that. Okay. Okay. There we go. There we go. And at this point, if we want to touch up anything, we can. We can touch up anything we want. Like maybe, 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 maybe. Say that enough times and see if anything happens. Here, let me take my little round. My little round. It's not all that little, but it's little enough. We'll go over here and get this. In fact, we'll make this a little bit more brown. There it goes. Yeah, just like that. And you know, we can go up and get a few more things like that. Maybe like right here. Just like that. And pick out some trees in here. Just like that. Yeah, just like that. And up in here. Okay. Just decide where you want all these trees to be. Just pick out some spots. It doesn't matter that much. It's a little easier sometimes in the dark parts than it is in the light parts, but sometimes in the light parts you find stuff. You see stuff. Okay, now look at that. That's cool, huh? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And yeah, I'm just getting a little bit of something down in there, just to make it a little bit more memorable there. Okay. All right. Now, what do you think? What do you think? Think we need to do anything more to this? Well, we might want to do a few other things to it. Let me just go down in here. Maybe we'll go in and define a couple of these things a little better. There it goes. There it goes. Maybe we'll go in here, get some of this. There. Yeah, that's better. Okay. And maybe we'll make this a little bit more vibrant over in the light green section. And just... yeah, maybe we'll go over here and just pick out some of these spots. And this is the way we'll do this. Now look at that. Now this is the point where you want to go for broke with all that color. If you've been holding back, now's not the time. Now's the time to really go for it. I'm going to get a little bit more of my phthalo green with my quinacridone magenta, and we'll just there. Okay, and we'll make this a little murkier down in here because I feel like it could use it. There. Maybe up in here, and maybe a little bit in here, and here. Okay. All right. Yeah, maybe we'll go down here too. Why not? Yeah, we'll just cover this whole thing, right? There. Okay. All right. That's good enough. That's good enough, I think. We're just fiddling around with things too much at this point. We're fiddling. We're just fiddling. Here, I'm going to go down here. Okay. All right, that's about as much as I want to fiddle with this. So let's go in. Let's go now. Let's go now. Here. Oh, here I go again. Here I go again. Yeah, I'm fiddling too much. I'm fiddling too much. I just like to. I could just keep doing it all day, and I'll probably completely ruin things if I do that. Anyway, let's go into our strong red color, our thick red color that we hardly ever use. This is Pyrrole Red, and we just go and sign our name someplace where people aren't going to look all that much. And I'm signing it SK, my initials. And you can sign with your whole name, first name, last name, any little name you want. But as long as you sign that name consistently, people are going to know it's you. And with that, my friend, I think it's about time for me to leave you today. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you got a lot out of it. Until next time, with love from me to you, I will see you soon. Bye-bye.